And if you don't want to salute him, guess what?
I never seen Tank retract the statement and say he's joking like that.
He's a generational great. As a boxing purist, I absolutely adored. I was in awe watching him tonight, I really was.
I thought Terence fought a virtuoso fight. I thought the scores were a little tighter than they should have been.
Still looked good. Crawford outclassed him though. It wasn't a domination, but he outclassed him, obviously. He looked very skilled doing it, but that's the problem.
Gervonta Tank Davis couldn't resist trolling. The Knockout King trolled Terence "Bud" Crawford after his fight with Canelo Alvarez, instantly receiving backlash and retracting his statements. Moreover, Tank Davis took to social media with a cryptic post directed at Crawford. The comment was seen as a swipe at Crawford's performance, with Davis mocking him rather than giving credit for the victory. Tank wrote, "He asks, I already heard it through the grapevine." Later, after the backlash, Gervonta Davis quickly changed his tune, posting that he was only joking and telling fans to chill. He wrote, "LOL, I forgot y'all chill, I'm joking, y'all gonna get me cussed out." But in response, Blue Blood Sports stated that Gervonta Tank Davis's bashing of Terence Crawford is outrageous, stressing that it is not in the spirit of sportsmanship. He said he could not believe this is the attitude of someone who calls himself a fighter. He criticized Davis for discrediting Crawford's accomplishment instead of simply acknowledging it, giving him credit and tipping his hat.
Because what he did is just nasty work. And this is your king that y'all be praising. Gervonta Tank Davis, instead of applauding the accomplishments, just tip your hat. Just tip your hat. Hey, salute. And if you don't want to salute him, guess what? Just don't say nothing.
Furthermore, Blue Blood highlighted that when Crawford was moving up in weight to face Canelo, Gervonta Davis claimed he was only doing it for the money. Blue Blood pushed back on behalf of Crawford, stating that he did it for legacy as well, and proved it by winning the fight without any clauses that could have aided Terence in victory.
When the fight was announced and when Terence Crawford was saying he wanted to go up from 154 to 168, Gervonta Tank Davis said he was doing it for the money, not for the legacy. Well, he proved you wrong. He did it for the money and the legacy. And he was successful. He jumped up, no rehydration clause, no catch weight. Fully healthy Canelo Alvarez. He jumped up essentially from 154.
Similarly, Aki TV also pointed out the hypocrisy of Gervonta Tank Davis, noting that he was willing to fight Jake Paul at heavyweight but not Terence Crawford at 147. Aki stated that this reflects the type of aura Crawford carries, describing it as a Super Saiyan presence that even forced Gervonta to delete his tweets and backtrack on his statement.
Tank is willing to fight Jake Paul at heavyweight, but not Crawford at 147. He ain't crazy. I never seen Tank retract the statement and say he's joking like that. That's the type of aura Bud has around him, the Super Saiyan aura. Tank woke up real quick from talking shit. But we talking facts, and Gervonta in return said, y'all tripping. Crawford is only doing it for the money. I'm scratching my head like, why the hell Tank is fighting Jake Paul for?
Building on that, Aki recalled the time Gervonta Davis claimed to be the Canelo of his division, but when Canelo became undisputed, fans gave Gervonta heavy backlash, saying he was not Canelo because he had not achieved the same. Aki pointed out that by that logic, Crawford has now beaten Gervonta of 168, who also has the legacy.
Tank himself, he said that I'm the Canelo of my division. Canelo is me at 168. When Canelo became undisputed, that's when Tank faced a lot of backlash because they told him, well, you're not undisputed. Why you don't go fight Devin Haney, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, according to Gervonta's own logic here, Crawford moved up 3 weight divisions to his 6th weight class to beat the Gervonta with legacy. The Gervonta from another dimension that's like Canelo that actually has belts and legacy.
Moreover, Luke Thomas stated that Crawford's achievement is enormous and cannot be downplayed by someone like Gervonta. He praised Crawford and said he will make sure to tell his daughter about him living through Crawford's era, noting that in his 20 years as a journalist, he has never come across a more talented athlete in any sport than Terence Crawford.
I cannot possibly overstate to you the enormity of this achievement. I know that the odds won't necessarily, the pre-fight odds won't necessarily tell you that, but that is, dude, Bud Crawford is, I don't know if my daughter's ever going to watch boxing. I don't know how that's going to go, but if she does, I can't wait to tell her that I lived through the era of Terence Crawford.
Doubling down, Luke emphasized how no one has been able to do this in combat sports, jumping multiple divisions and becoming undisputed.
And I don't know if I'm ready to declare this now, but I might be. I don't know if I've covered in the course of my career, which has now spent about 20 years, I don't know if I've covered a more talented combat sports athlete than Bud Crawford. I don't know if I have. I really don't. Mayweather was pretty talented. Mayweather moved up many weight classes. Mayweather didn't do this. Pacquiao didn't do this. This is beyond extraordinary.
Moreover, boxing promoter and former fighter Izzy Asif stated that Terence Bud Crawford is a generational great. He said that all those who doubted Crawford and criticized his resume have now been proven wrong, as beating Canelo showed he can face anybody. Izzy added that nobody on the current roster, aside from Hamza Shiraz, could beat him.
He's a generational great. As a boxing purist, I absolutely adored. I was in awe watching him tonight, I really was. How he dealt with all of the pressure and circumstances. He's special. Terence Bud Crawford, generational great. Generational great. He said he's not fought anybody, he's shown it tonight. Absolutely phenomenal. I don't think anybody beats him. I really don't. Maybe this man here, I reckon this is a different kind of power. Remember I said this? Canelo power and Hamza Shiraz power is different. You see what he did to Belanga, and he's a huge middleweight, super middle. Would Terence Bud stay at super middleweight? I think he looked comfortable. I reckon Bud Crawford, absolutely class, like we said, the movement, the skill set, and the size, he was so comfortable. Canelo didn't get him at the end, but I don't think nobody will beat him. I think this is the only man now at the moment, super middleweight, Terence Bud Crawford could be the next fight.
Additionally, former boxer Fernando Vargas gave his take, admitting he expected Crawford to find early success, but believed the pressure would eventually overwhelm him. Instead, Crawford proved him wrong. Looking ahead, he praised Crawford as a fighter he always considered special, pointing to the hard work put in on both orthodox and southpaw stances. He described Crawford's talent as remarkable and noted that he had just defeated the face of boxing in a heavily one-sided bout.
Canelo. You know, let me just tell you this. I thought that Crawford was going to have success early, but I just thought that the weight was going to be too much. It definitely wasn't. Yeah, it definitely wasn't. I ate my words up, you know what I mean? But I think that, man. You got it. But I always knew that Bud was a great fighter. He can work both guards, the orthodox and southpaw. You know, amazing talent. Just beat the face of boxing.
Building on that, Vargas explained that with the level of success Canelo has reached and the millions he has earned, the outcome of winning or losing no longer carries the same weight. He added that when a fighter reaches that point of financial security, it can become a little ridiculous.
You got so much success. He's had so much success, millions of dollars, and he's just, he doesn't really care, you know what I mean? It doesn't, and when you get to that point of you being able to have that type of money, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? So win, loss, it doesn't matter. You know?
At the same time, Hamza Shiraz stated that it was an honor to watch Crawford from ringside and expressed his desire to one day share the ring with him. He also made it clear that he is still targeting Canelo, adding that whether the fight happens now or later, he would like the opportunity to step in the ring with both Canelo and Crawford.
GOAT, bro. He's one of the GOATs, man. It was an honor to be there ringside and watch him. And who knows if I could share the ring with him.
What happens with the Canelo fight now, do you think?
It's still there, still an option, because he didn't say he's going to retire, did he? Well, whether that'll be now or later on, I don't know. So let's see what happens.
What did you think of Canelo?
Yeah, he's slowing down a little bit, and plus, Brad's a tricky fighter, man. And if you're slowing down, he's kind of the last person you want. Someone who's crafty, someone who knows what they're doing.
On the other hand, Coach Abel Sanchez shared his thoughts and stated that he felt the scorecards were closer than they should have been, and credited Bomac for crafting a game plan that surprised everyone, including himself. Sanchez admitted the scores turned out the opposite of what he expected, and said Crawford looked outstanding throughout the fight.
I thought Terence fought a virtuoso fight. I thought the scores were a little tighter than they should have been, but I thought Terence and Bomac had
say that? I didn't hear you.
I thought the Terence, the scores on the fight were a little closer than they should have been.
Okay.
I thought Terence had a great game plan. Bomac put something together that few people expected, including myself. The scores were just the opposite of what I thought they were going to be, but Terence looked great.
Adding to that, Sanchez confessed he doubted Crawford could maintain that pace for 12 rounds and figured the opening 3 or 4 frames would be the toughest. Instead, Crawford sustained it from start to finish and even pushed the fight harder down the stretch than most anticipated. To Sanchez, that kind of dominance across 12 rounds is the mark of a true superstar.
Good.
From the beginning, and then Terence never let Canelo get into a rhythm. Terence never allowed Canelo to get anything going, and I didn't think he could do it for 12 rounds. I thought that the first 3 or 4 rounds were going to be difficult for Canelo for that reason, but Terence was able to do it for 12 rounds, and in the later part of the fight, he kind of pushed the fight more than I think people expected, which is the mark of a superstar, man.
However, Sanchez said that for Canelo, he wants to see the matchup that has been talked about for some time, noting that Canelo can no longer dictate terms the way he once did. As for Terence Crawford, Sanchez believes the time has come to retire and enjoy life with his family. He explained that Crawford has nothing left to prove since no opponent can provide the kind of challenge that would elevate his legacy any further. In Sanchez's view, Crawford's legacy is already fully cemented.
For Canelo, I'd like to see that fight that has been talked about, just because I think Canelo took a step down now. Now he can't really be the one that dictates as much as he was before. For Terence, after that virtuoso performance, I would love for him to retire and enjoy his family. I don't think he can do anything else that's going to top this.
Right off into the sunset.
Listen, he fought a great fight. There's nobody out there that can give him that kind of step up for his legacy. His legacy is cemented. Who's gonna give him that kind of going out like he did last night? You know, in front of 70,000 people, he fought a virtuoso fight.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Additionally, the Weasel gave his breakdown and explained that he initially expected the fight to change if Canelo managed to trap Crawford on the ropes, given Canelo's elite ring-cutting ability. Instead, Crawford handled those moments with ease, staying calm and composed in the pocket, which the Weasel described as something special to witness against a fighter of Canelo's caliber.
See, I thought if Canelo was going to crowd him against the ropes, that Crawford could be stuck there because Canelo's ring-cutting ability is pretty high level, but Crawford made it seem simple. And to be that calm and collected in the pocket with Canelo was a sight to see, man. I was worried for Crawford that he was going to get chinned in those moments because Canelo's usually so good at landing these crippling body shots or even knocking his opponent out cold with a precise right hand in those sort of moments. Crawford seemed completely unbothered. He was laser focused while also seemingly having the time of his life out there. This guy was smiling and laughing around the ring. It was as if he knew the outcome of the fight before it even happened.
However, MMA Guru bashed the fight itself, stating that it took 8 rounds before either fighter actually attempted to do anything to the other. He voiced his disappointment with the match and added that unless it involves heavyweights, he has little interest in watching boxing.
Dude, I was watching Canelo versus Crawford, chat. Is it extreme for me to say it took 8 rounds for them to fight and actually attempt to do anything to each other? Boxing is so unbelievably gay to watch. I can't enjoy it anymore unless it's heavyweights or some heavier fighters. It took 8 rounds. Like, Crawford landed 1 strike in round 5, chat. 1 strike. That is genuinely worse than Carla Esparza versus Rose Namajunas. And it is awful. It is genuinely...
Guru stated that after watching MMA for so long, it is difficult for him to find any current boxing fights exciting, even though the two are entirely different combat sports. He highlighted that boxing only produces a good fight once in a while, whereas nearly every MMA card delivers consistent excitement.
I've been watching MMA for so long, I just can't compare boxing anymore to a fight. It's not even, it's like, this is a different thing, and this is just boxing, and it's a different combat sport. At this point, I'm starting to think to myself, this is not a combat sport. Every now and then, a couple of times a year, there'll actually be a fight. Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank. They'll have Usyk, or sorry, not Usyk, but, or Usyk Fury moment in round 9. It'll always come down to a moment in a round that saves the entire fight, where one round will be crazy, and then the rest of the fight will be...
Interestingly, Lucas Tracy also gave a blunt take on the fight, calling it boring, and explaining that when two highly skilled fighters meet, the matchup often turns out that way. He said the opposite happens when a skilled fighter faces someone less polished, and it usually makes for a more exciting fight. Tracy acknowledged that it was a high-level contest and noted that Canelo looked good, but Crawford still outclassed him.
To be honest, it was a competitive fight. It was a high-level boxing fight. Canelo still looked good. Crawford outclassed him, though. It wasn't a domination, but he outclassed him, obviously. He looked very skilled doing it, but that's the problem.
Drawing a comparison to mixed martial arts at the UFC, he pointed out that heavier weight classes in MMA often disappoint, while in boxing, it is the heavier divisions that tend to deliver better action.
I respect Terence Crawford's skill set. I respect the fact that him and Canelo are unbelievably high level, but it makes for boring fights. It makes for boring fights. All of these lighter weight class boxing fights, dude, it's so crazy how in MMA, heavier weight class fights usually suck. It's the total opposite in boxing. Heavyweight class boxing matches like Usyk Fury are...
He added that MMA brings a higher chance of a stoppage since fighters have to master so many skill sets that their head movement does not reach the level of a pure boxer. He criticized boxing for rarely producing fights that are worth the wait, while in the UFC, the payoff is almost always there.
Okay, boxing... it's just, you'll never compete with the spinning elbows and the front kicks up the middle and the 12-6 elbows and the chaos. And also, MMA fighters, they're the right amount of lacking in head movement skill that it's so high level in boxing. They're so good at rolling with punches and not getting hit and being... Again, there's more chances of TKOs, of knockouts in MMA, because there's so much for you to focus on in your training camp. There's so many skills you have to acquire. Your defensive instincts when it comes to pure head movement, they're never going to be on the level of these high-level boxers, and therefore TKOs, wars.
According to Tracy, boxing continues to draw viewers mainly because it becomes the hot topic, but in a few years, the charade will collapse.
It's just not worth it waiting up till 1 a.m. for this type of shit. It isn't. It almost never is. And it almost always is if it's the UFC. It almost always is if it's the UFC. Like, most of you guys probably saw or knew someone that posted about this that doesn't actually like combat sports, but because it's the big thing in the country and Netflix is gonna have it on, everyone's watching Canelo versus Crawford. I'll give boxing a couple more years, and the charade is over.
In contrast, Weasel pointed out that Canelo excels in close-range exchanges and standoffs, with his fighting style built to shine in those situations. He praised Canelo's ability up close as among the best in the sport. He also noted that breaking through defenses in boxing is far more difficult than in mixed martial arts because of the larger gloves.
Hey, standoffs, trading, exchanging in close. His counter style is emphasized in those type of fights. His abilities in close range are some shell. Now, there's different ways to get around this defense. You could try to just break right through it, and boxing is a lot more difficult than it is in MMA because of the...
In the end, Gervonta Tank Davis may have tried to downplay Terence Crawford's achievement, but the boxing world's response tells a different story. From analysts to fighters, the consensus is clear. Crawford's victory over Canelo was a defining moment that solidified his place among the greats. Let us know if you agree with Gervonta Davis in the comment section below, and we will see you in the next video with more exciting updates. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember to hit the bell icon so you are notified every time we drop a video.